Hey there everyone, Noir here and welcome to another Petscop Fan Theories episode. Now before we begin, as always, if you are new to this series, I would highly suggest pausing this video and watching its preceding installments first, because there are certain things that I said would come up in future episodes, some of which may be in this episode. I'll give you a couple of seconds here so you can pause and pick it back up from here once you're all caught up. Okay, so as you can see, I'm once again compiling two episodes into one analysis, because while Petscop 7 is almost 10 minutes long, Petscop 8 only spans about 4 minutes and their relevancies are interlinked anyway, so it only makes sense to put them together. Let's begin. Petscop 7 starts off with Paul in the Quitter's Room, seemingly trying to figure out the purpose of its existence within the game. After about a minute or so, Paul hears music on the other side of the mirror, which is coming from Tiara. This moment is referenced again in Petscop 11's ending scene, where Marvin tells the player that Tiara plays bad music too. Once the song ends, Tiara appears and goes back to mirroring Paul's movements, but something has changed in the room, which is the note. There's now an answer to the question of "Do you remember being born?", which says "Come here" in pink writing. We're already aware from the previous episode that the character associated with that colour is Mike, or Rainer as I now believe. Paul reads this and seems to already be aware of its meaning, which is to return to Tool so that he can talk to Mike again through it. Once he arrives, Tool is already possessed by Mike and it says, "I love you, new maker. Please show Marvin where his house is." With haste, Paul tries to ask "Who are you?" so he can confirm his suspicions about who he is speaking with. But the question goes unanswered, probably because not only does Tool have, a message to convey to Paul at the moment, but it would also be far too easy to give such vital information like that, considering that Mike is incredibly important to the story. But at this point, we're not supposed to have gotten that link, let alone that Mike could possibly be Rainer after all. Instead, Tool carries on and says go there and he'll follow you. His daughter is there. We've already seen from Petscop 11 that Care is the daughter that Tool is talking about, thus connecting the paternal role to Marvin. Paul tries again with another question, but instead he received the words, "Also wants 1,000 pieces for machine beyond school basement stairway." At this point in time, we've not seen much of the school aside from the demo reel in Petscop 11, which only shows the character, presumably Rainer during the time that's playing it, going through the area and trying to open a locker. So considering that I believe at the moment that Petscop 13 will cover a lot of the ground in the school, we'll probably find out what that machine is there as well. Paul then returns to the child library to investigate further into the recess outside that he saw in an earlier episode, but it only accepts people, of course meaning someone like Care, who is the only catchable pet that is clearly human. He then puts Mike's face onto the canvas inside, but without eyebrows. He remarks upon the fact that the carpet has a pattern consisting of a gift box, stars and something else, which is of course, looking at it, a road. This puts further emphasis on the connection between the road, the gift, and Marvin's connection to Mike in the story, because there is also a toy car on the table again. I think that when Paul specifically doesn't state that the other part of the pattern is a road is entirely intentional. It's basically because of the significance of that road to the story. Also note that there's a child on the bed within that room instead of Mike's original room, which stated that he's dead before entering. This could be inferring that while the Mike that we're supposed to know about is dead, Mike's childhood innocence, the real Mike is still alive. Paul tries one more room, and this is one that is incredibly distressing to him, which is shown by not only the item on the table being blacked out during the editing process of the footage, but also by the long pause and his fixation on that one object in the room. In spite of that item being blacked out of the footage, we can focus on other things in the room instead, such as the blocks on the table next to the item, which presumably say Care based on the way that it's looking on those blocks anyway, and the daisies on the wall as well. There are also cogs patterned into the carpet of the room which reference the aforementioned machine in the school. Because this room was generated after Paul put Mike's face with Care's eyebrows, we can safely assume that they're connected if there are so many elements in the room relevant to the story, which I've already assumed that they're siblings at this point. The final part of this episode shows us this text, which relates to the collection of people working on the channel instead of just Paul. It explains that they cannot inform us why they've censored the item, but they are expecting to censor others in future episodes. Some would say that this means that they're saying that because the episodes are already completed and edited, but I think that they're expecting it because the people that run the channel are probably also the game's creators, Rainer and another person. I do believe that I might know who this other person is, but that's something that I'll leave for now. Moving on to Petscop 8, Paul is investigating the road when Marvin all of a sudden appears. Marvin bypasses the picture of the windmill and opts to go to the picture of the school first instead. This could be because we already know his connection to the windmill already by this point, or it could be also alluding to the fact that he doesn't want people to know about it, and he assumes at the moment that we don't know his connection to it. Marvin then goes to the picture of the house, runs into a wall, and finally disappears from view. Paul tries to give chase to him by going back to the new maker plane, but to no avail. Once he returns to the wall that Marvin was trying to access, we hear Paul talking to somebody directly, but there is in fact somebody on the other end this time. Now, there's been a lot of speculation as to what this person's saying, because you can hear it very slightly, but of course it is garbled, most probably for effect. And I've basically tried to mess around with it and get it as discernible as possible, and I'm pretty sure that I've figured out what it says. So here you go. It sounds like this person's giving Paul advice on what questions he should be asking, but unfortunately at this moment in time we're unaware of who this person is, aside from logic dictating that the person is one of the people who helped to create Petscop in the first place. And that brings this analysis to a close. In the next episode I will be tackling both Petscop 9 and 10 respectively, and giving you my thoughts on who Mike and Care are really referencing. If you have any thoughts or theories or anything like that, make sure you let me know in the comments section. I'm always interested to look at what your take on it is. And until next time, people, keep on surviving.